There's a couple different ways to use them. A lot of traders use them to try and trade in between, buy when it hits the lower band, sell when it hits the higher band. That's one way to use them. Another way
Nick, how you doing?
I'm doing good. I snuck in on myself. I'm hearing you talk, and then suddenly my phone is ringing. I was like, what's going on?
We're right there. We were just going to talk about U.S. Steel here, which is symbol X. And we had this big breakout there a week and a half ago when the stock raised guidance, and it went from, and all three steel stocks actually coincidentally raised guidance that day. I don't know if there was a collusion there or not, but X, NUE, and Steel Dynamics all raised guidance that day. They all had huge pops. I actually sold my U.S. Steel that day. I got it around $46. Now I'm looking at it pulling back and filling the gap, all the way down to 40, and I'm kind of itching, thinking about rebuying my stock.
Well, I don't follow it fundamentally, and the growth in the world is all in question. So those are the only fundamentals I'll probably know about it. Technically speaking, it has a nice uptrend, bottom level, so you can draw a line based on the drawdowns. Funky candles a few days ago with the gap up, one giant candle before that. 40 sounds like the level where it would need to bounce and to maintain the uptrend.
Right.
So I don't know where you got in and out, but if one wants to take a long shot, I would probably need to wait until 40 to see how it handles that.
And that's the number I was going to highlight too. We were saying that a couple of days ago. If this thing gets back down to 40, should I take a shot? You were asking me if I would take a shot, Joel. What's your thoughts?
Well, I'm just going to throw another chart in here in a stock that just released some news. Schnitzer Steel Industries sees Q4 EPS 28 to 32 versus 20-cent estimate. Now, they were a little bit of laggard. You look at that chart, Dennis, and you tell me if you want to buy U.S. Steel.
What is the symbol on Schnitzer Steel?
Listen, before you go to Schnitzer,
okay.
The October options are not conducive to run-ups in X. The options traders, at least, are not expecting high prices in X. So, as a matter of fact, they're betting on like mid-30s. So I would not jump into steel X until it definitely shows me it can bounce off that level and prove them wrong.
SCHN is Schnitzer Steel, Dennis.
ACHN?
CS, Sam, Charlie, Hannah, Nancy.
Okay, I got it. Because my charts are slow here on the site this morning. Wow, that thing's been
Oh my God.
But it doesn't look like the other ones, though. Like, bring up Steel Dynamics, STLD. It's been okay. Actually, that's starting to look a little bit rougher too. NUE had the huge pop there too. I mean, these were all, we always talk about upside. We talk about capitulation. People will talk about capitulation on the downside. You can get upside capitulation there too. And that's really what we saw in X and NUE. And I feel like even in Steel Dynamics that day, it was upside capitulation. They all came out with the guidance that day. Everybody that was short the stocks threw in the towel. Everybody that wanted to get long got long right at the top. And then we've been straight down ever since. So I guess you need to see at least this little mini trend of down reverse here.
Let me put it this way: if you tell me, if you hold the gun to my head and you say put money on X, I'd take puts.
And one other.
So you think I should just stay out?
Yeah,
I would stay out. I mean, I need to see something from what would you gain in jumping in? Miss out on $1. That's fine.
Yeah.
Wait for the 40.
I talked to Gordon Johnson of Axiom Capital when I did an article on X a few weeks back, and what he noted and what he pointed out to me was, they're calling for all this demand, but supplies are going to be up in the next quarter as well. So that's not really the fundamental formula. You want to draw down. If there's increasing demand, you would expect to be drawing down on your supplies, and that's not the case. So Gordon was looking for continued downside in X as well.
Getting a question from the chat, John Vitelli is asking, is the correction over? I don't know if the correction ever happened, but I think he's talking about the 2-3%. Well, that's the way corrections work now in this new bull market, Nick. You don't get 10% corrections anymore. No. You got to take what you can get. 2% is a correction.
I wrote it up this week several times. I think what we have, okay, let's say we have a bubble, and we're having localized fisses is what I call it. So if the markets seem that, okay, the NASDAQ the momos are overly inflated, then we are having like fissures that let off enough steam in localized area. We had it in the momos not too long ago. They all got toppled. Remember that? And then all is fine for enough steam was released for the bubble not to burst. And we just had it in the small caps. And now enough steam has gone out of market and bubble's not going to burst. We're just having localized steam releases or pressure releases in order to sustain this incredible rally that's been going on. But it is shortable. You can short it locally. I mean, if you find some extended areas, you can short it and pocket the money, and don't go all in and right at the money. You can do it via the spreads. You know how I do it. So yes, the theory that we're going to have the fact that we've gone so long without a correction, maybe we will never have a 10% market-wide correction without a headline of sorts, like, God forbid, another 9/11 of sorts or something. That's my opinion on these corrections. We can have localized steam releases or pressure releases, pressure points, and still be fine for another couple months.
You were getting a little bit bearish though last week when we were on the show here, and we have had a pullback here. So are you still staying a bit on the bearish side overall, Nick?
I'm not bearish overall, but I am shorting pops that are relief pops. Like if I can identify the pops as relief pops for sure, and we've had a few that were totally relief pops. I can't remember the last one, but it was recently, and we were expecting something by Monday or Friday, and it didn't happen. Okay, I think it was Yellen, and the fact that nothing bad happened and we pop on that's so relief. Plus, anytime I see that the bulk of the run-up is based on the momos backs, then that's definitely shortable because the momos have not been able to sustain their greens, so to speak, for longer than like 24 hours. They always seem to give it back somewhere. Except for GoPro, of course.
GoPro goes up. It's up another 35 cents. Every 10 minutes it goes up 35 cents. GoPro. So which stocks are you concentrating on? What recent call spreads or put spreads have you put on here, Nick?
Well, we've scalped some. I'm sticking to the indices for some reason. I'm finding them so easy to trade these days that I'm just finding it so fun to do. For example, when everybody was bearish the markets and the markets were selling, I went long via expiring today, the quarterlies, RUT, which is a small cap, 1085, 1080. I went long big at that, and that will pay my house payment for sure and expenses this month. And it got under fire a little bit, but never broke one standard deviation, but basically. And this expires today for maximum gains. So I sold the 1085 put and bought the 1080 put behind it. Collected just about 50 cents to put that trade on, and it was risky, so I hedged it by shorting the NASDAQ at also expiring this week, not today, and 41.75, 41.80, and that I booked that profit. I paid 5 cents to close the bet, and I collected just around 45 cents to open it. So I collected about $1 in premium on a $4 risk, basically $4.10 risk. So the return is what, 25% dirty math in my head in just days.
Hey, Nick, could you talk a little bit about? I mean, because I follow your trades, and you when it gets down there, near 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You pay the commission and take it off.
Oh yes, absolutely. Every time cheap risk needs to be closed. I'll give you an example. One time I had a winning trade in Google on expiration day. It was a Friday. It was a credit put spread. It had a lot of room to run. And in the morning, Google started to act funny and then started dropping with the market. And I was like, I need to close this. And it was about 10 cents to close. So I threw out an order to close it. And I said, I'll pay 14 cents to close it. And for some reason, market makers gave it to me at 7. So I was like,
those are nice market makers.
I know. I was like, thank you very much. And then just an hour later, it was $1.70 to close. So there's nothing is ever safe. So if you've got cheap risk, you got to close it.
So if it gets down to these spreads down to a nickel or a dime or 15 cents, even sometimes on the day of expiration, you don't let them expire. You don't want to take. You just close them out ahead of time.
Yeah, I do close them ahead of time. I don't like to take it into expiration. I always use it's silly, like if you're trying to heat up a cup of coffee in the microwave. So is it more important to let the clock run down to 0 or to make sure the coffee doesn't overflow in the microwave? It doesn't. you're going to have to clean it up, and it's a mess. I'll pay $100 here, $50 there, $200 there. Overall, these 100 save you a ton of money and headaches.
Okay, Nick, we got to ask you about Priceline here. We know you trade the stock a lot. We had consolidation there for about a week. Yesterday, took out the support, was down $20 at one time early in the session, then rallied the whole thing back, is back up here at 1165, which is where it was consolidating all last week. What are your thoughts on Priceline here?
Priceline, the reason it hasn't acted with the Momos this week is because of Thursday Draghi event. They have a lot of their dollar coming euro dependent. So if one wants to take a long on Priceline, that would be a good lotto ticket. I tried to catch it this week and it didn't go anywhere, and I closed it. And I sold a naked put, believe it or not, at 9.85 for January. So it's not like I was going crazy. And I collected about $9, but it went nowhere, so I just closed it. And luckily I did, because it would have taken heat. Yesterday it was over $10 to do the same thing. But if one wants to catch a falling knife, Priceline would be a good one if one believes that the market in general is not going to fall apart. And sell a spread in January that's like 965, 955, and collect whatever it was, $1 or something like that for it. That's a 10% return on your money, and chances are you're not going to pay attention to it until the end of the year. So that's what I would do with Priceline. And I think that let me see, the options, the open interest is not really telling on it, because it doesn't have enough to drive good fundamentals from a good trade for me. But it's a good stock. It makes money unless it has some negative headline. I just don't see it falling apart.
What about Netflix? You doing anything on Netflix? We've had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 days of pretty massive consolidation for Netflix. The lows in the lower 440s, the highs in the higher 440s. What are your thoughts here as this Netflix is consolidating?
Netflix was my gauge to go long when everybody was so. I mean, this week, I don't know if you picked up on it. The only thing that changed last week actually started is sentiment. Nothing else changed. We've had all the issues, even the street riots. The issues have been on the table for months. And suddenly now we take the blinders off, and it's like, oh my gosh, we've got, the Russell death cross or whatever. So sentiment is what changed, period. That's the only thing that changed. And when I saw that Netflix did not revisit the 439 level, 438.88 from a few days ago on the last whoosh down, which was about 3 days ago, I said, you know what? This market can be taken long, because if the frothiest of the froth did not revisit its low from a couple of days prior, then a risk appetite is still alive, and these are just shenanigans of quarterly dress-ups. So if big money is selling in order to book their profits in the quarter, it's only temporary, and we'll see today if we end with this, and now how sentiment changes going forward from today.
This is a pretty interesting chart in Netflix here. I mean, not too often are you going to see this kind of consolidation here. Basically, over the last, throughout that 440.50 low, we've been between 42.54 and 52.35 for the last 4 trading sessions. To me, this looks like a breakout to the upside, and you don't hear me saying that very often.
I always say I said from when it was about 470 to 480, I said it has a plus or minus $100 in it, technically speaking. And for a while, it looked like it was minus 100. For a while, I was so sure that it's plus 100. If it goes above 495-ish, 494, I think it's technically poised to go plus $100. And I said also that if it breaks down the 450 some area, then I'll start thinking the other side is the right way to go. And sure, for a couple of days, it looked like it's the lower side that was going to go first. But now it's still a coin toss. It's done this consolidation before at this level, and it had 2 breakdowns from this level. But it's gathering steam. It's higher lows knocking on the roof. How tired are going to be the bears in defending that roof again? So if it revisits the upper end of the trend high, if you draw a line across the tops, it breaks out, I think it has enough steam in it. It just needs a good headline.
What about a new show? Does it have a new show coming out, Joe? I think Joe knows. Yeah, Joe, they got a new show coming out, don't they?
A new show for what?
Netflix?
Well, they have new stuff coming out all the time, but are you talking about original series or adding?
Yeah, a new big series they have coming out. I thought it was I don't
Well,
know. I was just looking for a driver. You know what I mean? And the way the stock reacted during what's that show we watch with Kevin Spacey?
Oh, I don't know.
House of
Orange.
Cards.
House of Cards. I
Oh, yeah.
mean, they come out with another blockbuster like that, and
Well,
that could be a
the,
catalyst for the
the
stock.
dollar is what counts, and I think its expansion into Europe, they need to see some good feedback from that. The last one in France was poo-pooed, and they need some good news from its expansion, because that's why, just like Amazon, everybody gives it a pass or used to, because it's growing. So the Netflix theory is the same thing. It's potential growth, and that's what people are buying into at these high-flying prices, because growth companies, you don't evaluate them based on their bottom line dollar. When they stop growing, then you say, show me the money. Until then, show me the sales. So if they can show that, yes, the growth into Europe is going to be almost just as easy as here in the US, then Netflix would run. I don't buy it based on fundamentals right now as far as bottom line dollar. And it's a lotto ticket. I do not invest in Netflix these days. It's definitely a headline stock, and it's not conducive to good credit spreads, although a lot of my members do that. Same with Chipotle, your nemesis. Also, Chipotle was on my screen alongside with Netflix. In order to, those two gave me the courage to go along the market, because they showed me that the market appetite for risk is still alive.
And what about eBay here? Uncle Carl,
Uh,
Uncle Carl gets his way again. It looks like the luster is coming off though a little bit. We got near
It
this.
gets, yeah, Joel, it does. It
well,
gets down. It ever gets up to those higher 50s, it sells back off even in the last
You
hour.
shouldn't have been asking, Dennis. You should have been trading.
I should have just been, yeah, I should have just been whacking those 59 bids.
I think I was on your show after the eBay got clobbered for Apple Pay. And I said, they're selling the wrong stock. eBay and Apple Pay play in different arenas. The PayPal is all online. I'm probably one of the few people that actually carries a PayPal card, just because I have some people pay me in PayPal money, and it's just in that account, and it's convenient to just use it and access it like a credit card, but it's actually depleting my account. So it's different realms, and people sold it down to $50. I said 49, I think, maybe. I said, eBay long shot right now is great, and boy, I didn't do it, but I sure hope people listened, and I should have done it. It was in my to-do list, and I didn't do it.
And
But
what do you think about it now? I mean, the
I don't
luster.
chase it.
You don't
I'm
chase
not
it.
going to chase it. This is playing arbitrage. I don't know what's going to go on. I can't chase pops like that. I won't short it either. Like GoPro, somebody was telling me, time to short it now. I was like, what? how can
Goes
you
up
short
$10 a day.
on a bad day? The market was down -1%. GoPro was up 4% in the morning or whatever it was. It was just incredible. So you cannot short that. I mean, yeah, you can buy some lotto puts if you want, but there are easier ways of making money, my friend.
Okay,
Citigroup's
Nic
gonna have to come out.
Shahine,
I was gonna
market.
say
Go ahead,
Citigroup's
Dennis.
gonna have to come out, raise their price target on GoPro again, because it's already exceeded their new higher price target. They raised it to 94 today. Now it's at 94.10.
Don't before you let me go. I can't believe it. Don't chase Apple. We didn't talk Apple.
Oh,
Oh,
let's go.
quickly,
You're
quickly.
dead on an
Apple.
Apple. Is 100 still the magnet?
100 and 101 are high points of interest. 100 is neutral. 101 is all resistance, and it builds from there.
Okay, Nic Chahine, MarketFi maven and author of Create Income with Option Spreads. I encourage you all to check that out on the MarketFi homepage. Nick, as always, giving us great input and a little bit of humor in there as well. Thank you so much, and we'll talk to you again next week.
Thanks, guys. Have a great week.